call this meeting to order at 4 p.m., please.
Chair Wayne Richard,
Here.
Vice Chair Joseph Anderson,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Blair Sickland,
Here.
Commissioner Keaton Enright, present. Commissioner Catherine Waldron, here. Executive Director Manuel Almira,
I'm here.
Court Counsel Greg Pickett.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Would we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States Republic and to the republic which stands one nation under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for.
Mr. Almira, do we have any additions, deletions, or reorganizations of the agenda?
Yes, Commissioner. We have, we'd like to delete H8 under consent. That's all we have.
And I would like to, with your approval, the approval board moves the governmental affairs report to presentation and announcements. It's under G. Want to hear Pinsky and representative-elect under G. I want to move them up. Any opposition? No. Hearing that, is there a motion to reorganize the agenda and to delete H8?
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? None, motion carries 5-0. Thank you for that. We are now on approval of the agenda. Yes, please, sir.
Approve the minutes.
Approval of the minutes, sir.
Thank you. Approve the minutes. All right. If you're not speaking, would you kindly mute, because I'm having a difficult time. I think Blair made the motion and Catherine seconded the motion. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None, motion carried unanimously. Thank you for that. Okay, we're under presentations and announcements, Ms. O'Meara.
Commissioners, you had asked for a reorganization, so we do have Richard Pinsky, and I believe he has one or maybe two guests and would like to make a presentation to the board. So I'll turn it over to Richard Pinsky.
Thank you, Director Almira, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do is perhaps have Representative Will Height introduce himself and open to any questions. Purpose of Representative Will Height's appearance today is something he requested right after session, and that was before we knew what the pandemic was going to be doing to everyone's schedule. He has asked a couple of times, let me know when the board is ready to chat, and then following, I think Omari Hardy will be joining us by phone, and then unless they have a burning desire to listen in on our internal conversation about the items in my packet for you. Otherwise, we can perhaps let them go on with their. I know Representative Will Height is currently at the fire station. He's working right now, so you can hear sirens and he may have to jump off. But if that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, we'll let Representative Will Height take over.
Representative Will Height, you're always welcome. You're a friend and you're a friend of the court. Welcome and thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Richard, thank you for the introduction and making sure that we were able to connect here on this. Although we couldn't do it in person, I'm so happy to be able at least to address you and speak to you. First, I'd like to congratulate the port on your recent federal rail improvement money you just were able to receive. So that's always nice when we can somehow bring some allocations, appropriations back to Palm Beach County to support our economy or the business that happens here. So congratulations on that. And I'd like to say thank you and congratulations to all of you for being able to continue to do this, keep operations of the port, and obviously we're always still in this pandemic. We still always have to try and do as much business as we can. People still need goods and products and things to happen. So I'm glad you're able to continue and keep working like this. A little bit why Mr. Pinsky was talking about why I wanted to address you was maybe to talk about what happened during last session and how it went about. Historically, this is I'm serving in my second term, they're 2-year terms, so I've been there 4 years. So in the first 3 years that I've filed local bills, and I've filed numerous local bills, they didn't seem to really have much difficulty in getting them through the process and passing. This year, or like every session, there's some unique characteristics of it. This session was really different, that local bills didn't really get very much traction this year. Very few were passed. I had a house memorial filed, which they didn't even pass that. It was to help veterans suicide. And so this session it seems like a lot of things did not get heard. And I can tell you it was not from the hard work that was asserted and tried to get done to get this bill heard. We went back multiple times to leadership, to the chairman to try and get this bill heard. We were willing to amend it, to take things in, take things out. We always knew a little bit of the bill when it came to financials and there was some increase in pay for the commissioners that we may have difficulty. But we, at the end of the day, were willing to amend anything to get any of this heard. And they just wouldn't hear it. And, was that for any specific reason? I don't think it had nothing to do with me or to do with the port or Palm Beach County. It was just a general philosophy that they were not going to hear many local bills, if hardly any this year. I'm hopeful this next year, should you want me or maybe your newly potentially elected representative to file it again and work on it again, I'm more than happy and willing to do it. What I'm even more hopeful this year is as we move into, hopefully, once I'm elected here on November 3rd, is that we'll have a little more seniority amongst our delegation members too, because myself, Representative Silvers, Schlossberg, we'll all be juniors, they call it. So it'll be our 3rd term. So maybe that helps amongst our delegation a little bit because we have a little more seniority or something. But, I'm hopeful this year if there is something else that you're wanting to work on, I'll be willing to either file it or support whoever the member is that has it. You know that, and I hope you understand, know that I've always had an open door if you needed to talk about anything or wanted to talk about it. Otherwise, I know you know this, but not only Richard and I are friends, but we're great working colleagues. And anytime there was a question or anything, he was always willing there to work for you and advocate for you and do a great job on behalf of the port. So, if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them about any of the process, or if there's something you think we should do or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me again. I'm always trying to be available as much as possible, and I'll do whatever I can to continue to help the efforts of the port and obviously to bring anything or to help anything from Palm Beach County or the state of Florida back. So thank you.
So Representative Woolhite, we all uniformly know that the inability to get the bill passed had nothing to do with your efforts or Richard's. The frustration was quite significant because we've been trying for years now to get some relief. So the frustration was quite amplified, but we know that you are a strong advocate and an advocate for the port. So thank you for your efforts. And we thank you for your efforts going forward. We are going to speak about this later on the agenda or next month, and I would be very surprised if we don't try again. But we want to put ourselves in the very best position for success. We're not accustomed to swinging and missing. So maybe offline, I'm anxious to speak to you about how can we put ourselves in a better position to be successful. Board Commissioners, Catherine, Gene, Joe?
The response, if you don't mind there, Mr. Chairman, I absolutely think that, and again, whatever you can do, I think what might be a little different about this year too, and I can't always predict what's going to happen. I mean, leadership, obviously there's new leadership coming in, but I think that anything with a financial this year is going to be very difficult because of what's going on with the pandemic around the state and the loss of revenues. But if there's something at least we can do that doesn't have a financial to it, it would seem to think that they would hear some of these other things Because no matter what, we have to be there for 60 days. We're not going to just sit around. So if we can do things that don't have financials still, that will help the community and bring things back, I think that's certainly something we could always work on. And I'd be willing to help you and work with you on anything you want to do.
Let me ask a question, then I'm going to pass it to my colleagues. When you say financials, are we not able to properly inform the members that although there are numbers in the bill, it does not impact taxpayers? Does that matter? Or if there's a number in the bill, it might be difficult?
Well, I think numbers, first of all, are going to scare, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think bills I think the numbers in any kind of bill make people nervous in Tallahassee right now. But I know for sure, and I know that Richard has probably advocated this to you, we went and evaluated every port in the state of Florida, and we showed them how yours is different, and that it doesn't come from state dollars, and that it comes from local. But they have this idea that if they're not going to raise taxes, nobody else should as well. And then they think that, oh my gosh, you're going to go raise taxes in Palm Beach County. It's going to be hard for tourism, and we're counterproductive to what they're trying to do by lowering taxes in the state. Here, Palm Beach County would be raising them. So I think that's the idea where they get that aspect of their idea that all of a sudden they know better than what you do in Palm Beach County or for your residents. But again, we did everything we could in the analysis, and I know sometimes your staff probably worked very hard there to come up with some of these things for us, to compare your report with so many others. And we showed them that, where your numbers are and how you're different and things. So I'm absolutely willing to try and educate as much as we can advocate for. But like I say, I think anything numbers-wise made them nervous to begin with.
Thank you. Commissioners?
I just want to thank you, Mr. Wilhite, for standing with us. You're an outstanding representative in Tallahassee, and we've appreciated everything you've done on behalf of the Port of Palm Beach and the citizens in our area. I just want to thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And we thank you.
And, Mr. Chair. Okay, and Representative Wilhite, I just wanted to thank you for all of your support and your continuing support, and thank you for taking the time out when we were there for entertaining and explaining the process, and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I would like to echo what Commissioners Anderson and Enright just said, which is thank you for all your support. It's been very helpful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last thing is, when is the session going to start this year? Have they changed the dates, or is it going to be the same, or haven't they even decided?
Mr. Chairman, every other year we go back and forth where it's an early session and it's a late session. So this year it'll start back in March, and then next year the following session would start again in January. So they go back and forth, but this will start in March. And frankly, a lot of things we're not really sure of right now on how the process is going to go. We know that by Constitution we have to have an organizational session 2 weeks after the election. After that, a lot of it is up in the air of committee meetings, or whether or not you can come to Tallahassee and advocate, or come in the Capitol, and all these different things they're doing to see where we are and what's going to happen as well. So other than organizational session, the start of session, we're not really sure a lot of what's going to go on.
Thank you very much. Representative Wilhite, do you have Representative-elect Hardy? Is he about to, can he join us? Mr. Hardy, welcome.
Thanks for watching.
Well, Representative-elect Hardy, welcome. Welcome to the port. We're happy you're here. We look forward. First of all, we want to extend an invitation to you to join us whenever you're comfortable. We will socially distant from you, but we'd love to have you at the port to show you all the good works and good deeds that we do here. So, open invitation.
Well, Mr. Chair, thank you for that invitation. As an elected official, you know that we have more opportunities than most people, obviously, to help our communities. We also have more opportunities than most people to do dumb things. And, it's my goal to have, my time in the legislature, I'm fortunate enough to get through this general, to be one that I can look back on and say that I did good things. And in order to do that, I'm going to need lots of information. I'm going to need to learn. And so I very much appreciate your extending me the invitation. I'd certainly like to take a tour of the port. I'd certainly like to learn a little bit more about how the port relates to the region and, other, frankly, some of the, Caribbean countries, that we do business with. And, I think that's going to make me a more effective advocate, certainly, than I would be otherwise. And so, I appreciate that invitation. And, frankly, as soon as possible, I would like to take you up on it.
Thank you. Mr. Pinsky, would you kindly make that happen? Thank you. Mr. Hardy, did you want to say anything else? But we will see you very soon, I'm certain. Did you wish to add anything else, or should we simply look forward to seeing you soon?
Well, I just wanted to say first off that, I'm from Lakewood Beach, which is not, the closest city to the port, but I'm very committed to being a strong advocate, for the port. I recognize the port as a real economic engine for our county and for our region and for the working class families that live in District 88. And so, please, as I get educated and informed about the port, let me know what your issues are, what your interests are, the sorts of things that tend to, come before us in the legislature so that I can be an effective and intelligent advocate for the port. And in addition to that, as a freshman, I'm going to have to lean on people who know a lot more about the process and have a lot more experience, in the legislature than I do, obviously, as a freshman. And so, folks like Representative Matt Wilhite, who has been the, friend and supporter, I will certainly lean on him. But also, I have a close working relationship with Senator Powell. We served together on the caucus of black elected officials here in Palm Beach County, and he's been sort of, like my elected big brother since, the moment that I won office in Lakewood Beach. I intend to work very closely with him on your issues, whatever they may be. And so, I really look forward to doing this work for District 88, which includes the port. I look forward to learning about your issues. This is as Representative White said, this is going to be probably a very challenging year from a budget perspective, but there's probably no better time to get introduced to how the state of Florida works and how the legislature works than in challenging times like these. So thank you again, Mr. Chair. Thank you, the commissioners, for having me, and I'm looking forward to serving you all.
Thank you, Representative Hardy. We look forward to seeing you. Representative Wilhite, we always love seeing you. Thank you both. Thank both of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you.
We will now move on to our consent agenda. Has the board had an opportunity to review the items? Would you care to remove or speak of any items in particular? H8 has been removed.
I'll make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
That we approve it, you mean?
Approve it.
No, second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Stickland, seconded by Commissioner Waldron. Any unreadiness? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. District reports. ED report.
Thank you, Commissioners, and good afternoon to all again. I'll start with the best news we've had around here in quite some time. That is the rail grant. I am proud to report to you that the Port of Palm Beach was awarded a port infrastructure development grant in the amount of $13,224,090, which is the exact amount that we requested. The Department of Transportation only awarded 18 of these grants. We were the only organization in the state of Florida that was selected. This grant involved more than just sending a check to Trans-System, our engineering firm that helped us, and telling them to start writing. We started working towards this movement over 4 years ago. We worked with the DOT District 4, and they funded several rail studies, all of which were incorporated into the application. I had several conversations about the future infrastructure with then Governor, now Senator Scott. I spoke numerous times with Senator Rubio and his staff. Congressman Maz spent an whole afternoon, you may remember that, spent a whole afternoon at the port, and we discussed rail infrastructure projects with them. A reminder, Congressman Mass is planning on being here on Monday at 11 o'clock, so those of you who can make it, please join us. Also, let's recall that I made a trip to Washington, D.C. in December, which I was not properly, let's just say I didn't bring a coat. And it was rather cold, but I managed to meet with members of the DOT senior staff, in which we discussed our needs for the rail expansion and rail improvement. We have, by the way, we do have private sector monetary support for profit shipping, as well as the Far East Florida East Coast Railroad, which has a significant indicator of the support we've had. We also had several conference calls. These were not easy to accomplish, and let alone coordinate, but nevertheless, we managed to get a lot of these calls between FDOT senior staff and all three congressional staff, Tropical and FEC. We all pushed for the grant, and we, in fact, are reaping now the reward. Just one last point on this. Unfortunately, there have been some indication or some statements that we, that is the Port Executive Director, as well as the Port, we don't think of big projects, and we certainly don't have a good understanding of the grant process. With this grant, in our previously awarded FDOT rail grants, we to develop the port and set it on course, obviously, for the next 30 years. So, staff, I congratulate them. In one in particular, shout out goes to Carl Baker, who worked tirelessly to obtain the requested information. And our engineering firm, that's Grand System, they also made it a point to really come through with this grant. So, congratulations to all of us.
And many congratulations to you, Carl, and the entire staff. Job extremely well done. You guys have not only made us very proud, but you've helped position the port for the next 10, 20 years. So thank you, job exceedingly well done.
Thank you, Commissioner. And you said the key word here, for the next 10, 20, 30 years, this port is not ready for the future. It's one of those, bring it on, we'll handle it. Moving on, Commissioners, to Peter Island status, as I normally do, I provide an update simply that I'm back on September the 24th. Ken Hearn, Greg Pickett, our attorney, Richard Pesky, our governmental affairs representative, attended a City of Riviera Beach virtual meeting. The county representatives discussed the facility and outstanding code issues for use as well as repair. As of 10/7, we are waiting for the minutes from that meeting so that we can forward that to the commissioners. Also, Jonathan Evans is available in the event, and I would like to call on him for him to provide an update from his side of the world as soon as I'm able to finish with the next sentence. By the way, the next meeting will be tomorrow, it's scheduled for tomorrow at 2:30, Friday, to further the discussion. Port staff, by the way, continues to clean up the area and make minor repairs to the AC system and demolish the non-permitted handicap ramp to the main house of the facility. So with that, Commissioners, what I'd like to do, if it's okay with the Commission, Jonathan, if you can possibly provide us with a couple of sentences and just let us know what is the update from your side of the world.
Mr. Evans, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board, and thank you, Director Armera, for the introduction. So we've had the opportunity to have our first virtual meeting with county staff, and as your staff articulated, we have a follow-up meeting with the county tomorrow. We talked, there was 3 items that were on the agenda for discussion. One, if there was any code-related issues or concerns that were on the parcel, and your attorney provided clarity with regards to that for the group, and the county was supposed to provide us additional information if there was any outstanding or unresolved code issues, and to date we have not received anything from the county. We also talked about the infrastructure getting an understanding of what infrastructure would have to be improved, if any, and what are some of the concerns that were articulated by the county as a result of any activities that would be contemplated on the site. Based on the information that was communicated, it didn't seem like there was anything that was too arduous of a task for us to go ahead and resolve. And I think we can remedy the concerns that the health department articulated with regards to if the facilities or when the facilities are renovated, the use of the restrooms having the capacity necessary to accommodate that. And then ultimately we discussed the conversation with Find Florida Inland Navigational District and what their role and activity is on the island and what their long-term plans are. We've got information as it relates to who a representative is from Find for the purposes of including them into subsequent discussions. From the city's perspective, we did receive a document from your attorney, and our attorney is going to be working with staff to get it to a point where we look to bring this item before you all for consideration in November. One of the things we did want to seek clarity from the board as well as my board, any type of an agreement will most likely require a two-step process whereby the city of Riviera Beach would execute an agreement and then the port would execute an agreement. And so I know that, if I'm not mistaken, the time frame that was allotted was, I believe, November 1st, and we wanted to ensure the opportunity to where we can anticipate bringing something before you all at your first meeting in November and us do the same. And so we wanted to see if there's any issues with regards to doing that. If not, we would have to put it on our agenda for October 21st, and then when you all would look to convene as a board. And so I wanted to see clarity if the board was amenable to something coming before you in a document for consideration at your first meeting in November, and we would do the same on our side for the city council. And that concludes my report, and I do have the meeting minutes that I'll go ahead and forward it on over to your staff so they can share it with you as well.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Let me ask you a couple of questions, then I'm going to open it up to our board. I assume your meetings are on the November 4th and 18th, is that correct? The first and the third Wednesday?
That's correct, sir.
So you would be able to pass something possibly on your first Wednesday, and I think we're going to talk about our meeting. We may be meeting between your first and your second meeting. We only meet once per month. But the goal would be to have a document that encapsulates an agreement that you could approve on the 4th, and we could then ratify the third week of November. Do you see, what impediments, if any, do you see that is slowing this process down or would cause issues moving forward? What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
One of the challenges we heard from the county is that if we would go to, if there would be, the property would be deeded over to the city of Riviera Beach, and then we would go to replat the particular parcel because there's a portion of the 4.3 acres that is not encapsulated in the documents that we have, that there may be some issues with regard. We can get a PCN number, obviously, but the challenge will be going through the neighborhood subdivision plat process on the county side. So we're obtaining additional information on that, and we've also had the discussion at the staff level to secure an additional attorney to help facilitate going through the process with the county to make sure it's a legally conforming lot based on the county standards, because that would impede our ability to move forward with a lot of activities on the site. The other side of it is we had the conversation with county staff and really spoke to what the restrictions were on the property, and that there seems to be a desire from the county staff to look at it from a reasonableness perspective. We understand that, for instance, 4 events to be able to be held on there is something that, in the grand scheme of things, I think we would all agree are unreasonable. But we've also found some other park facilities that the county has, that they have a origami gift shop or what have you, that's a rent-renew generator that's on one of their parks, And so one of the things we're looking at is what the stipulations are on that particular part to see if there is an opportunity for us to capitalize from an ecotourism perspective to create some synergy on that particular piece. But I think the consistency with the county's comp plan, the challenge as it relates to the replat, as well as, the conversations. I've had initial staff level conversations with the town of Palm Beach about the concept, but until it gets before their board and their community is providing an opportunity to opine, and we can anticipate a little bit of pushback on that. But our intent is to move forward with coming to terms with an agreement with the Port of Palm Beach, and then working out some of the other nuances associated with what we need to do. The granting agencies we did talk to said that a deed would be the more appropriate mechanism to allow for us to go after grant funding, a lease arrangement, unless it's for a period of at least 25 years with a 25-year, 50-year automatic renewal provision wouldn't necessarily allow for us to be competitive in the grant market. So, in a nutshell, those are some of the challenges that we can anticipate, that we've been able to find out as a result of moving forward through the due diligence process.
Is it realistic to think there'll be a document that your board can vote on in 2.5, 3 weeks that can then come to us?
I think we'll be able to put together a document. How perfect that document will be and how we can do some risk mitigation, that's going to be the challenging part, because obviously we know that there's still some heavy lifting on the county side. So one of the things that we would incorporate in the document is obviously this is an arrangement whereby the port has what it's communicated in the initial term sheet. Will communicate our perspective. I think we can get to a good point. Is it going to be perfect? No, but is it going to be enough to allow for us to concurrently go to the county as well as seeking funding to help facilitate that? Because the hard part and the heavy lifting is all going to be on the county side. If there wasn't that situation that we have to work and comply with some of the things that the county has established, it would be a lot easier. We've also, based on the communications with the county, they don't believe that we're able to effectively annex the property, because annexing the property would then allow for us to move through the process a lot easier, because it would conform to our development standards and our comp plan, et cetera. But staff is looking at that as well. So nothing's, we're exploring every option and every alternative, but some of the restrictions and stipulations have impeded some of the things that would normally happen on that island if it was under the controller of any entity besides the county. That obviously you control the rules, you control the game.
All right, thank you, Ms. Evans. Let's go to the board. Would anyone like to ask a question or speak? Catherine?
I think one of the commissioners, Commissioner Anderson, asked that our lobbyist, government affairs person, Richard Pinsky, to participate and offer his advice and such to this issue. And if he's still on the line, I would like to ask him if he has any additional thoughts to add to this.
Richard Pinsky, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Walden, I don't know if I can add, I did not speak. I did listen to the virtual meeting, and I think Manager Evans appropriately and accurately portrayed everything. I will add one editorial comment, and that is in the internal meeting that we had at the port with Attorney Greg Pickett and Ken Hearn and Director Almira, I did suggest that at this meeting, the Port Commission have a clear understanding if they go option A, which is either sell or give land away, what all of that was involved. And I think Manager Evans just alluded to some of that as far as the boundaries. You have to create a parcel. What are those boundaries? Does that have to be platted, recorded? And then also, if you go option B, a lease, 25 year, whatever it is, so the commission, when it comes time to make a decision, you do have your options, but as far as the virtual meeting, and what Jonathan and Director Almir just relayed, I concur.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have any comments? Obviously, this will be on the November agenda, and we sincerely hope it's something we can take action on. Hearing nothing else, seeing nothing else, we're going to move the agenda. Commissioner Emmerich, please.
Have you had a chance to talk to any of the county commissioners as far as the stipulations and the restrictions on the property? Because you have to realize that we have a whole different regime as far as county commissioners. And they are not thinking the way they did, 10, 12, 5 years ago. So I really believe, and I know that they would be very receptive to approving some of the things that the city might want to look at and might want to change as far as the restrictions are concerned. So I would like to know, Mr. Evans, have you had a chance to talk to either of the county commissioners about some of the restrictions, or you haven't gone yet?
We haven't, and our lobbyists, we've engaged Sean Pittman, our lobbyist, to also plug into the process as well. So between him and Mr. Pinsky, I think that we'll be able to look at this holistically. But Mr. Pittman is clued in and will be assisting as well.
Okay.
Great. Gene, thank you. Mr. Evans, thank you very much. We're gonna look forward to seeing you in November with something we can vote on. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Almira, anything else under your report? Can we move on to Mr. Cunningham?
Well, I just had a couple more, and let me just move on to real quick. Just recently, the Tampa Bay Business Journal provided and published the Florida force ranked by cargo value. The Port of Palm Beach came in at the 5th ranking. The number one, no surprise, is Jacksonville. And the reason for that, commissioners, is that all the luxury automobiles that get imported through Jacksonville, such as Porsche, Lexus, and Mercedes. I just thought this would be a good point of reference where we lie in all these, how we measure as a result of all the 14 deepwater seaports. Still moving on here to the Forum Club. This month, the Forum Club of the Palm Beach's virtual luncheon is held here at the Port of Palm Beach. Staff facilitated a pre-recording of the programs in production that took place in Peter Island and in the JFK secret bunker. Our facilities team did a great job cleaning the bunker prior to the filming. On the day of the event, October the 9th, we provided the Forum Club with office space and tech support to conduct their live question and answer with former CIA Director John Brennan. During the program, the Forum Club president thanked all the commissioners as well as port staff for supporting the events. Lastly, the Bahama Paradise Cruise Line care package, the commissioners and staff were invited to make a cash donation towards the purchase of snacks for 37 crew members who remain on board the grand celebration. We managed to collect $415. Staff assembled the packages and deliver them on October the 6th. Very well received. Thanks all around from not only the crew, but also the owners. Lastly, commissioners, the AAPA, the Florida Force Council, scheduled events. You've probably seen it on your screen. Once again, AAPA continues to have their meetings virtually, and there's really nothing much as a result of the COVID and how we are all basically worrying about being contaminated or contaminated. So I do have a question, Commissioner, Mr. Chair, for Richard Pinsky, and that is, enough has been talked about, and I'd just like to get an official that next month's meeting, is that going to be, will we be allowed to have a virtual, or are we planning, or are we going to have one live here in our board room? Richard, if you can possibly tell us what your opinion is.
At this moment in time, you will be required, because your charter does not allow for virtual meetings, so therefore you come under the state statute. So as of right now, you will be meeting in person, not virtually next month. Now, every month so far, the governor at 11 p.m. on the last day of the month has reissued another 30-day period for virtual. He did that every month. On September 30th, what he did was said it's now optional for this 30 days. So everyone is anticipating that will expire. He will not renew it, not even optional, barring some outbreak or some change in circumstances. But as it stands right now, you will be meeting in person next month, barring the governor's reissue of another executive order.
Thank you, Richard.
Mr. Chair,
Please, Mr. Anderson.
Commissioner Anderson, I just had one question. In the event there is no moratorium or this is not extended, do we foresee meeting in the cruise terminal versus meeting in our boardroom?
Mr. Romero.
Yes, we can do that. In fact, having given it too much thought, but we've done this in the past, and there's no reason why we couldn't do it again. In fact, I would encourage for us to follow that at our meeting down in the cruise terminal.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll monitor that. I-2 Port Engineers Report. Thank you, Mr. O'Meara.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Harrington.
Hey, good afternoon, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to give you an update, and I actually look forward to seeing you in person next month, hopefully. First item I want to update you on is Berth 1 shore power. In accordance with your approval of H7 on the consent agenda today, we will be moving forward in the next couple of days to install temporary shore power to facilitate power to mega yachts that are due in November. Otherwise, the permanent installation is ongoing, and they've made quite a bit of progress in the last couple of days. In fact, I think we'll see them switch to temporary shore power Monday or Tuesday, and shortly after that, within weeks, all installations will be in, except some of the power requirements that we're waiting on that are delayed in the manufacturing due to the pandemic. We don't expect all those till December, but we'll be operating in a nice condition with the temporary power. Second item I want to update you on, as I told you I would do every month, is our strategic asset management plan. This month we received diving requests for proposals from diving service contractors, which will be part of the underwater work. We received 12 submittals on that, which is a nice broad range of people, quite a few from the Palm Beach area, and of course people from all over the state and outside of the state. The board approved CCNA process for consultants to do underwater inspection evaluation of submerged assets is underway, and judging from the hits I get my emails from that they've downloaded from our website, it looks like we're going to have quite a range of very qualified consultants that will put together proposals for your approval on this project. In the last weeks, the executive director and the port engineer, myself, met with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The original purpose was to introduce us to our new project manager for this area, a gentleman by the name of Chris Neely. We welcomed him, and we got an update on the projects that's ongoing. Just so you know, I've been in contact with Cash and Dredging over the last couple of days as they finish up surveys. I expect the dredge action Falia, which you're all familiar with, to be here sometime in about 10 days, and they have about 3 weeks worth of work, and then our channel will be fully open and back to full business. We look forward to working with Chris Neely. He's going to be a great asset to it. And just to explain, Chris Neely is a local representative. This is many levels down from our friend Tim Murphy that everybody's familiar with. With respect to annex property, we're moving forward in the design. EC Fennell and Kingly Horn have been working close together on their portions. I have most of the preliminary plans for review, and we will be looking to take this off to bid soon, and then I'll be bringing the RFP for review by the board shortly after that. I wanted to add something on rail grants, because as we transition to rail projects based on our recently awarded grants, I'll be coming to you in the near future with a consultant selection for these projects. We're gonna have a staff meeting next week to talk about them. I'm looking to work with staff and legal to prepare a CCNA and our request for qualifications for you guys to have presentations from selected members. This is an exciting project. I can tell you your port engineer is gonna be pretty busy over the next few years. So feel free to contact me with any questions or suggestions that we move to this exciting future for our port. And that's
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you for the third-party reference. Any comments from the board or any questions from the board for Mr. Cunningham? Jean, anything from you?
No, job well done.
Yes, very good. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you, Ron. We've already had I3, business development. I3, business development report.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'd like to start my report today by thanking Jackie and Jeremy for all their hard work and completely overhauling the FTZ portion of our webpage. A lot of work went into it and they did an outstanding job. Along with that, Jeremy produced a great article on the benefits of the FTZ, and it will also be appearing in the city's upcoming quarterly newspaper.
Good.
With that, we are just finalizing our agreement with Resolve, and we are looking forward to their artificial reef operations starting up in the spring. Should be around April timeframe. And additionally, we have been working closely with the Coast Guard representatives on the possibility of having one of their brand new Coast Guard cutters outfitted here in Palm Beach. We should have an update on this in the next couple of months. And finally, we have been working with a steel shipper who is looking to move their current operations from other ports to our port. As they keep up their evaluation, we'll keep you advised, and we should have word for you in the next couple of months. And that concludes our report.
That was a phenomenally well-done report. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions for Mr. Meekins? Once again, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Commissioner reports. I-5. Any comments or questions from the board? Blair, you look like you want to say something.
I'm all set.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Waldron.
Are we gonna talk about the charter or not?
Who's next?
It's next? No, it's not.
Charter's not on the
Yeah.
agenda.
No, it's not on the agenda.
It's on the agenda,
Beatrice, please. Ms. Griffin.
That information is under Mr. Pinsky's agenda item.
yeah, it's on there.
Oh, okay, so we have to go back to Pinsky then. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's go to I-4. Mr. Pinsky, a brief discussion, please.
Yes, I will make it brief, Mr. Chairman. So the first item are the dates that Commissioner Sicklin was asking about earlier of what we're anticipating. The next are some possible issues that the port will be facing. The next is for consideration, not vote today, but for you to consider this next month. I will be asking for an action item on what we want if we decide to introduce a local bill. I presented this document to you in a form that shows what was in the bill last year, and if there's anything to discuss as far as changes go, you can jump right down to number 3, and there's some options and Representative Will had some timely comments. So I will make this easy, that if you are in the school thought that you would like to start off, if you be successful with a new salary consideration, if you would like to start off at a higher amount than $9,500 per year, then you would consider any of options A, or follow what Canaveral does in option C, or option D. If you are comfortable with just starting out at leaving it alone at $9,500, then you would be considering option B, which will then going forward, we would go no more than 3% a year, or option E, which simply takes out all dollar amounts and attempts to just leave the decision up to the port. I can answer any questions, but if we want to, if now in November anybody wants to contact me, but that's basically how these options come down. They're divided into starting off with an increase right away, or letting an increase happen either organically or just leaving it, taking all dollar amounts out of the chart altogether.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Penske, just surveying the lay of the land, do you feel that this was one of the sticklers, or if this, had any bearing whatsoever? Maybe it didn't, or maybe, Representative Wilhite mentioned that, this, because of the era that we're currently in, that this may not be amenable. Do you feel that this by any way may or may not have a direct impact on?
Yes, I would have to say yes, it did. It's not supposed to, because the Palm Beach County delegation voted unanimously, and we did show that we're the only port that has to come to Tallahassee for a change, and we also showed that we are the lowest paid. We did everything they asked us to do. A lot of this was driven by a weak chairman. Like I said, Palm Beach County never got any local bills heard. And they always say, come back when it's not an election year. Well, we'll be coming back when it's not an election year. So yes, there's no doubt, and I think Representative Wilhite is correct, there's no doubt that when they look at that, it looks like a raise. They don't want to hear that these are not their dollars, they're tenant dollars. Tropical, for example, it wants to give us a raise. But, we're not going to let the facts get in the way of a good political argument.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Penske. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry.
Since I've been on the board, it is not as long as Wayne, who knows everything. I mean, we have experts with us. But I don't foresee them allowing us to have a raise, because I remember years ago, when we brought this to Tallahassee, and they were amenable, and they really were thinking about giving us a raise. But then they said, look, if we give you a raise, we want you to have term limits. Remember that, Mr. Penske?
Yes, I was Representative Adam Hassner, who was the majority leader.
Right, and the majority leader said, hey, we don't mind giving you a raise, but we want term limits. I don't see them giving us a raise. I really don't. Any kind of raise. So I just think that, this is my personal opinion, I just think that we should just go on with 1 and 2 and try to change to make sure our language is right in verbiage, and just get the raise all in 2. Now that's me, but I don't see them doing it. And then one other thing I would like to see done is that we have 8-year term limits, and not to cut off anyone short, that we can have another proposed change, which will be number 5. They have term limits that will start in 2022. So that will give all of us 8 years, not taken from the year that we have, like Commissioner Richards, myself, and Waldron. Hopefully we'll all go over it in the next 3 weeks. But not taken from us this year, and not even taken from Commissioner Sickman's year. It will start in 2022, and 8 years to everyone after 22. I would like to see that placed on so anywhere after 2022, myself, I would start 8 years in 22, but 8 years. I mean, everyone 8 years. I think that would, I believe that we should do it, because when I was running for office, everybody was hollering, gee, you're right, 16 years. Look, I think we should do it. It's up to you, but I would like to see a proposed change to number 5, that we have term limits starting 22 for 8 years for commissioners. And then as far as the salary, just read it. That's just my idea. I'm
Let
just
me
one
suggest this.
person. Every commissioner has time to,
Let me
just my idea,
suggest
that's
this.
all. And that's what I would like to see.
Let me suggest that we give this some serious thought over the next few weeks, and please speak to Mr. Pinsky so that we can vote on this at our next meeting. Any further comments on this item? All right, hearing none, we'll move on, please.
I think, Commissioner, you left it as, Commissioner's report, so you're.
So my question is, I have a question.
We're gonna vote on this at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, that was my question, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioner reports, any comments or concerns from the board, or any reports, I should say? Any reports? Hearing none, seeing none, we will move on to old business, G1.
Yes, Commissioner, this will be I hope to be a rather short presentation. Before we get into it, what I like to do is provide an outlook of what's going on in the cruise industry. Yesterday, I participated in the America's Cruise Seaport Committee virtual meeting. Michael happened to be with me as well. And this is boiling down to there is absolutely no movement from the CDC. Letters have been sent, as you know, 2 of our senators have proposed a bill, but that has not been introduced as of yet. So what the committee has chosen to do is to create yet another grassroots type of effort. So next Wednesday, the Port of Miami, Port Canaveral, and Port Tampa will have, for lack of a better word, a demonstration or a rally with all of those individuals that are involved in the cruise industry, from ILA all the way down to port employees. That they're hoping will create a bigger snowball effect and get some type of ruling from the CDC that they will in fact allow the cruise industry to get back on its feet. In fact, they're calling it Let's Cruise Tonight. That's the name of the rally, and a variation of the games also came out of it. I say that because it's quite certain by now that the Bahama Paradise Cruise Line will not be sailing, at least not for the month of November. That in itself creates a challenge. So with that said, what we wanted to bring you up to date is the following. During our last board meeting, we, with the help, the assistance of our attorney, we went ahead and created a second amendment to the Bahama Paradise Cruise Line. That second amendment called for signing the agreement along with a check. Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the check was for $143,000. That amendment was sent to the Bahama Paradise Cruise Line on September the 28th, week after our meeting. The initial response we received was, we will send this Bahama Paradise Cruise Line telling us that they will send the company document to their attorney. Last week, I attempted to get a hold of them, and to no avail. This past Monday, I finally got a hold of O'Neill, only to let us know that he would be in a better position to talk to us on Tuesday. So we called him on Tuesday, and he claims it was a misunderstanding. He did not realize what the Second Amendment was calling for, but that he would go ahead and move forward by analyzing authorizing it, and if he can please contact us. Again, Mr. Susan, yesterday, Paul and I went ahead and attempted to get a hold of him. No avail. This morning, he sent us a copy, a signed copy of the Second Amendment. Fortunately, what he didn't realize is that that Second Amendment can only be executed if there's a check that comes along with it for that amount, $143,000. So there are two separate things here that I'd like to remind the board. We have a cruise line that cannot sail, and its first sailing is unknown at this point. That's established. In the meantime, the board agreed to allow them to stay here paying $750 a day since July 25th through October 31st. That dockage alone adds up to $66,000. Additionally, the cruise line is on an agreement that they will be paying $50,000 a month, starting in the month of September. Well, they came back in September telling us, we pay you $50,000. However, we would please be able to pay the additional $50 for October and $50 for November in the month of November. That was given the deadline of November 1st. So we still have some time for them to react. But as you can clearly see that this amount of money is starting to really add up real quick. So with that, what I have asked Paul is to make a presentation to you to allow all of us to see exactly how much money is owed. And also keep in mind, commissioners, that it doesn't look like there's going to be any sailings. At this point, it doesn't look, the earliest will probably be the month of December. And I'm here to tell you that I would not be surprised if the first sailing would probably be sometime in the month of January. That's just my thought. So, Paul, if you can please provide them with all of the individual figures so that everybody understands.
Good afternoon. Before I get into the actual schedule, I'd just like to refresh your memory. On 8/17 at the board meeting, we approved the First Amendment. The First Amendment had both Port and Bahama Paradise Cruise Lines agreeing that the outstanding receivable at that time for dockage and all of the charges was $398,812. They agreed to pay $100,000 upon signing that agreement and $50,000 a month for the first of every month until it was paid in full. We did receive the $100,000, and on September 1st, we received an additional $50,000. That was the last payment we received. As of now, they owe us $248,812 from that original amount. They have missed their October payment of $50,000. Since that date, there's been an additional $125,000 that they've incurred. Of the $125,000 dockage for the 73 days since then till today, at $750 is an additional $55,000. They've missed 3 months worth of rent payments for $55,000, and miscellaneous charges, which include water bills and fuel, is another $14,000. So in addition to the $248,000 they owe us, there's another $125,000 owed up today. So the Second Amendment was sent to them, and based upon your direction, we were to charge them $750 a day to the end of October. And this would be offered to them if they would bring their account current. We sent it to the cruise line on the 24th, about a week after the meeting, and it allowed for your direction for the October payment to be deferred until November for the $100,000, if in fact $143,000 was paid when they executed it. We received the signed agreement today, as Manuel said, no check was attached. Per your instructions, that second agreement cannot be executed by the port until we receive that check. What you're looking at is a summary of what they owe us. As of, to be paid by November 1st, will be approximately $243,194. If they execute the Second Amendment, due immediately is $143,194. And on November 1, they would make the October and November payment for the past due of $100,000. So by November 1, we will have collected $243,194. If that second amendment is not executed, as of today, they owe us $174,700. On November 1, they will owe us another $50,000. The dockage between today and the end of the month will be $12,000, and we've estimated about another $6,500 in water charges. So if they want to execute the second amendment, they can send us $143,000 today. If they choose not to, they are in default of $174,700 as of today. That summarizes the financial position.
Thank you, Commissioner Sickler.
Yes, I think we've kind of bent over backwards for the cruise line, and we all have a lot of sympathy for them. But, you know, we need to, you know, get paid. There's no other cruise lines that are, you know, getting along for free, so to speak, at other ports. And I feel sorry for them. But, you know, we've got other people that would be interested in that berth. And by letting them just stay there, I think it's a very bad precedent for our other tenants, saying, you know, they're letting the cruise line, you know, be there for free, and we're paying, you know, what we've always paid. So I think we really need to get our attorneys involved now, and it's obvious that they're just not going to pay us. So I think, you know, we've been more than fair, and I think we need to have them, you know, move the ship somewhere else. If they're not going to come up to what they owe us, you know, maybe they could go to Freeport or some other port that will, you know, let them, you know, berth the ship for nothing. But I think we've been overly fair, and we need now to take some action. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry.
First, I'm confused because you said we received a contract, right? A signing document. And did they forget to put the check in or what? Amira, did you call and say, hey, there's no check in it, but we got the document, or what's going on? Or was that intentionally or what? I'm lost. Because, I don't understand it. Did they call you and say, hey, we sent you this contract, we signed it, but we didn't have the money? So what's the take on that, Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner, this morning we called and they said that he had just sent us the signed Second Amendment. We had waiting for the money. Then later this afternoon, or I should say earlier this afternoon, we called him and said, you know, we have to have the money in order to execute this particular amendment. His words were, I'm in the middle of a meeting, let me call you in about 10 to 15 minutes. Well, here we are, they haven't called me, and I'm sure they haven't called Paul. So first thing tomorrow morning, we will be calling them to find out where is that money.
Manny, I'm going to jump in here. It's pretty clear to me that you have communicated. They were on the last meeting with us. We don't have to chase them. You're calling. They're not answering. They're eventually getting back in touch with you. They don't have the money. They don't have the money. So the question is, does this board want to take action immediately, or does this board want to wait a few more days? And if so, I would say why. Commissioner Anderson, what are your thoughts? Do we give them additional time, or do we take action? Blair said, let's take action. What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So they have until November the 1st, correct?
No, they owe us some money now.
I know, but the next payment that is due is November the 1st, correct?
Oh, it's $100,000 effective November 1st and $123,000 effective today.
Effective today.
Mr. Chair?
No, Anderson has the floor.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'll yield, to Dr. Gina Wright, because I'm just steadily trying to gather my thoughts as the chair.
Okay, I'm sorry to bust your chops, but I won't. Commissioner Walden.
I'm with Commissioner Sickman on this, so I don't need to add anything.
Thank you. I haven't spoken. Time's up. Time's up. They need to pay us now. And I don't know if that's 24 hours or 48 hours. They need to pay us the greatly reduced sum of $143,000 immediately. All right, we'll go back to the second round of discussions. Commissioner Enright.
I just wanted to say that I'm in agreement with Commissioner Sickman, and I feel that, it was disingenuous of them to send us, a contract without a check. And because, I just didn't like to hear that, but, I'm in agreement with Commissioner Sickman, and I think we need to go forward because I don't see them coming up with money in the next 2 weeks. But hopefully, I pray they will, but, I think we need to take action. Or we can just get up and give it to money. And if you don't have the money right here, I think we should do something. You should take like action. Give it to the 19th.
Well, okay. Valir, what are your thoughts about the 19th at 5 p.m.?
Well, I think we probably have to get a letter from our attorney basically telling them that this is a drop dead date. I mean, we've been bending over backwards, so we all agree. Manny, I think that's our best bet, is get Greg basically to hand deliver a letter, a demand letter, just saying we need this money, or they need to, move the ship.
So are you making a motion that we're directing our attorneys to send a default letter should they not pay the $143,000 by close of business on Monday?
I just wanted to hear from Manny if he thinks that's reasonable, and Paul, and then if they agree, then I'll make a motion.
Well, I have a couple mentioned, ideas, but go ahead, Paul, you talk first.
I concur. I think there's been more than enough time. In that letter, I would also suggest to remind them that even if they make the $143,000 payment, in order not to be in default on November 1, we need another $100,000. Otherwise, we're back to where we are now. So I think the letter, if it goes out, should say $143,000 to your comment by Monday, and $100,000 on or before November 1st, or there'll be no grace period for that amount. That would be my suggestion.
Manny?
If I may, there's one more point that we still need to discuss, and that is, in the event that they go ahead and pay, in the event that on the 19th we do get $143,000, and then on November 1st we get the $100,000, 50 and 50. There is still one motion or one item that we need to decide on, and that is back to dockage. What do we charge? Is the board willing to go back and charge them $750 a day until first sailing, or do we charge them tariff rate, which is in this case $5,800 a day? My recommendation, obviously, is going to be, well, they're used to the $750, but unfortunately, even at $750 a day, they're still facing somewhat of a delay or some type of cash flow problem. So those are some of my thoughts and questions.
Manny, wouldn't it be if our expenses have not changed and their situation has not changed, would it not be your recommendation that we continue at $750 per day?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. So, Commissioner Enright, what is your motion? Is your motion consistent with what you just heard?
Yes. That was Commissioner Sickman's motion, but I'm in agreement with whatever he says. But you have right.
I believe we have our attorneys that may.
Our attorney wants to speak, yeah.
Yes,
please.
Thank you, Greg Pick and Gary Beecher and Ryan Court Counsel. I hate to crosstalk, but Paul, do you have a copy of the amendment right in front of you, the second amendment?
Yes, I can get it.
Okay, when does the dockage, could you look at that and tell me when the dockage rate increases from $750?
November 1st. We put a date in that at $750 holds till October 31st, and that only the board could extend it for a period of time.
And if the board does not extend it by board action, then it goes to, is it five, what's the amount?
$5,881 a day.
So, and I just, the reason I brought that up, to the commissioners, the reason I brought that up is I wanted you to know that the amendment does address an increase in the dockage rate. And I wanted to make sure that nothing we said here would reflect a change from what the document, what the Second Amendment document provides. So right now it's $750 through the end of the month. Then it's going to increase to the number Paul just quoted, which is over $5,000 a day, but the $750 can be extended if the board elects to do so.
And that's our goal. Thank you for that. Our goal is clearly to extend the 750. I think we need a time certain, maybe for an additional 30 days through end of November, so on the condition that they make these two payments. If they don't make these two payments, I don't have a desire to decrease. So Blair, go ahead, please.
And I'll make a motion that we ask for a payment of $143,000 by this coming Monday, and then another $100,000 by November 1st. And if we receive both payments by November 1st, then we'll accept the daily $50 extension.
Through November 30th.
Correct.
Second.
All right. A motion has been made and probably seconded. Any questions, concerns, or readiness?
We had a call,
Joe. Hi, Joe.
No, I saw that Mr. Zelensky had his hands.
If I may, for the sake of accuracy in your motion, the amount is $143,194.19. And so that would tie out exactly.
That's fine. The amount.
Thank you. Would the second person please accept that amendment for clarity?
Yes.
Motion has been made, seconded, and amended as well. And the second part, we would extend the $750 per day through November 30th on the condition that those two aforementioned payments are made timely. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. So, Manny, that's clear that if those payments are not made, they'll be in default. Is that correct?
As far as yeah, that's what I understand.
All right, very good. Thank you. We'll move on to K1.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm K1, Ford Tariff and Freight Tariff Update. The purpose of these revisions, modifications, are to clarify language and add an item related to pandemics and other health-related matters, which were identified based on COVID-19. Also to add an item related to rum tank storage and a switch rate increase for the freight tariff. As required by law, 2 public meetings were held on July 15th and July 29th, 2020, for public feedback. Several tenants and operators of the Port of Palm Beach District were present. The Port Executive Director, Manuel Almira, listened to and evaluated their concerns, with a few alterations occurring from the original draft. As a result of these efforts, tariff item number 23 and freight tariff number 8016, with an effective date of November 1st, 2020, are being presented for Commission approval. There is no fiscal impact for tariff item number 23. However, the Executive Director may review a possible increase during the first quarter of calendar year 2021. The freight tariff has a financial impact of approximately $6,000 increase to switching revenue. A motion to approve and adopt tariff item number 23 and freight tariff number 8016 are presented with an effective date of November 1st, 2020 for your approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any unreadiness or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? None motion carried unanimously 5-0. Thank you. K2.
K2, Common Operating Platform for Real-Time Response, 3-year agreement with Strax Incorporated. This project is funded 75-25 by the state of Florida, state providing $105,000 and the port providing $35,000 for a 3-year agreement. This Common Operating and Real-Time Response Platform has been reviewed by the FSTED Security Subcommittee as well as being reviewed by peers. Has been awarded grant funding by the state of Florida Department of Transportation for a total project cost of $140,000 to prevent, deter, and respond to acts of aggression against our international seaport. Examples of this system capabilities include, but are not limited to, alert response interface emergency plans and blueprints, which include building fire plans, emergency plans, as well as vessel fire plans as well. For first responders, it also includes text alerts, marine AIS, geofencing for vessel arrival and departure tracking, license plate recognition, CCTV, access to first responders, weather alerts, aviation radar, and critical infrastructure. Strax is currently in operation at Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, cybersecurity since 2015, and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Most recently, Strax was deployed to assist with California wildfires to track fire lines to ensure firefighter safety after a couple of critical incidents out there. This system has received positive comments from the Customs and Border Protection, the United States Coast Guard, and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Board staff recommends approval of this.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion's been made by Walgren, seconded by Anderson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Herndon. Good to see you. Comments from the public? Are there any comments from members of the public?
Me?
I do not have any comments from the public.
Thank you. We'll close that statement. We'll go to the Board of Commissioners, starting with Commissioner Sickman.
Yes, I would just urge all of the commissioners to speak to Mr. Pinsky about the charter before the next meeting. As one commissioner, I've always never been in favor of term limits. I've always said that as soon as the United States Senate and the House of Representatives have term limits, then I'd be in favor of them. So until that time, I'm not in favor. So that's just my personal opinion, and I've been saying that for 30-odd years. And if they change, we can change. So until that happens, I'm not in favor of it. I think our best bet is to have a very simple change of charter. Anything that would deviate from that will never even get heard. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, I'm glad to see Ken and Paul back. You know, I was, you were in my prayers and also wishing for a speedy recovery with you guys. And as well, my condolences go out to Mr. Coddington and the loss of his family members. So, you know, I know how that feels. So I just wanted to extend my condolences off to you, as well as I wanted to commend the staff and the director for a phenomenal job in securing the much needed funds, as well as from the beautification all the way down to our social media and the reporting. I can't tell you the number of individuals that I've either spoke to in person or via social media or via just text or just phone calls, and they are very ecstatic and elated about the information that has been disseminated out to the public. Also, I'd like to thank you and staff for sending me the information about the inland port, so I can get further abreast and further in tune to actually what the history was behind that, because I noticed it rears its head every election cycle, and a lot of information is misinformed or misnomers, and people use it as a political football to kick around during the election cycle. So I was glad they received the information. It was a plethora of information. I'm still digesting all the information, but I definitely.
So give that some thought, yeah, and let us know when we need to do that.
Yes, sir.
Our next meeting, thank you. I am not available Thursday the 19th. I know some of the staff have spoken about maybe a different date. The fourth week of November is Thanksgiving week, which we generally stay away from. Any thoughts about Monday the 16th? Would that be acceptable to the board and to staff?
That's good for me.
Mr. Chair, I'm available for that.
Thank you,
Any
John.
day
Thank you,
you
Blair.
take is fine with, I'm sorry. Any day you take is fine with me.
Wow, thank you, Jane. Catherine, how's Monday the 16th?
It's okay. I mean, it's not pretty, so I'll make it work.
Thank you, thank you. So let's have our meeting on Monday, November 16th at 4 p.m., please. Mrs. Griffin, B?
Hello, Commissioner Richard.
My apologies. Greg, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to talk about the executive session to bring you up.
Yes,
Go ahead, Greg.
Greg Dick and Gary Dietrich and Ryan Court Counsel are requesting an executive session regarding LMH to begin immediately at the beginning of the next regular meeting set for the 16th.
Will do. Joe, does 3 o'clock work or does 4 o'clock work for that?
3 o'clock, I can, I'll make it work.
Commissioner Anderson, Mulligan, Blair?
Question on the special session. You know, in the old special sessions, we go in a small room and, you know, now it's a little different. I don't know if that's gonna be a problem. Do we definitely know we need one, or is this just a typical, attorneys going, well, maybe we need it, maybe we don't, but, you know, things are a little different now, so.
Good point, good question.
Yes, I think, well, it has been probably 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 months since since Port Commissioners have met with counsel regarding the litigation, and a number of things have, you know, we need to bring up to date on trial dates and depositions and that sort of information. Number one, it's been requested by Jones and Foster, and I think that what we could do is, if we're going to have our meeting, the board meeting itself in the cruise terminal, we could come up to this room, to the boardroom that I'm in now, to be able to have our executive session and just have, there aren't that many people in it, so we can certainly achieve the social distancing that we need.
Blair, good question, but I think it sounds like we have to do it. We'll just make sure we have significant social distancing. B?
I just wanted to mention that if the executive session is at 3 p.m., will the regular board meeting follow right after?
Well, I'm sorry, technically, the regular meeting starts, and then we adjourn and go to executive session, and then come back to the regular meeting. That's just a technicality, but it's at the beginning of the regular meeting.
So the regular,
just want to make that 4?
yeah.
Well, Joseph, it's up to us what time. I mean, unless staff has an issue. Do you have a preference, Commissioner Anderson?
Yeah, 4 would definitely be more, plausible for me.
Okay. Paul, last comment?
In the event that we still have to maintain a virtual meeting, we'll probably have to set up 2 go-to meetings, one for the regular board meeting with general populace, and one for the executive session, which is shared only with the people that would be there. So you might have to dial in and dial out and then dial back in. It's the only way I can think of is to keep it private.
I'm sure as we get closer, the rest of the staff and you will help us figure that out. But we're calling for a meeting, executive session at the beginning of the meeting at 4 o'clock, and the regular meeting to commence immediately thereafter.
Okay.
All right? Hearing and seeing nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you, we're adjourned.